Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day. Welcome to Meet Science and Technology. My name is Muhammad Syukri AMIR bin ZAINUDDIN. Today, me and my fellow members, Puisi, Nur ATIKA HUSNA binti KAMAL MOHAMED, NURSHAHIRA binti MOHAMAD SUBANDI, and MOHAMAD IKMAL TAJUDDIN bin ABDUL HADI from SBH3 will present our slides on safety issues associated with production of meat and meat products. For introduction, meat and meat products present a unique set of challenges to producers and regulatory officials. Meat provides an ideal matrix to support microbial growth with nutrients and a favorable environment that allows spoilage microorganisms and foodborne disease pathogens to thrive. This means that meat and poultry producers need to be vigilant about preventing contamination before it reaches the consumer. In addition to the usual risks associated with food processing, producers also need to be aware of unique challenges that arise within the meat ecosystem.
The first issue in the production of meat is food safety issue. One of the problems faced in this issue is invasion of traditional or new pathogenic microorganisms. Traditional microorganisms may mutate into form which may increase virulence and pertain low infectious doses to cause sickness or increase resistance to antibiotics. Food-producing animals are major reservoir of many pathogens such as Escherichia coli, Salmonella and Campylobacter that will affect the safety of raw meat. These pathogens can potentially cause foodborne illness and food poisoning in humans after consuming by producing toxins. Even death will occur if serious. In addition, cross-contamination of other foods and water with enteric pathogens from infected source may occur if the problem is not well addressed. In fact, most of the foodborne diseases can be prevented with enhancement of food safety measures in tandem with the regulations governing food safety were complied with from production stages until table consumption stage. The factors causing contamination of the meat may threaten the safe consumption and thereby making the meat harmful to human health. For this reason, it is necessary to utilize various resources such as biosecurity to prevent the meat from being contaminated at all stages of the food production chain, from harvest to consumption. Next challenge is the meat contamination or meat spoilage by infecting organisms. The organisms which spoil meat may gain access through infection of the living animal known as endogenous disease or by contamination of the meat post-mortem known as exogenous disease. Generally, external animal surfaces like hides and skin, as well as their feces and the environment, may serve as sources of contamination for carcasses during the processes of slaughtering, dressing, chilling and cutting, storage and handling, water and feeds through contaminated manure or direct transfer and infection from humans that brought pathogens from outside to the farm under unaware condition. If spoiled meat is accidentally consumed by human, it may cause symptoms such as vomit, diarrhea and fever owing to it contains pathogenic microorganisms that cause foodborne illness as mentioned before. Thus, it is necessary to keep the fresh meat refrigerated or frozen. The working staff should wear protective clothing such as aprons and gloves to reduce skin-to-skin contact with the meat while processing, as well as obey the rules of hygiene so that to minimize the propagation of microorganisms in the meat and to ensure effective biosecurity. To prevent infection, it is also necessary to take protective measures in all stages of the food production chain from production to consumption and to apply these protective measures in both industrial and domestic environments. To prevent meat contamination, fresh meat should be washed thoroughly and not left in open area or room temperature for a long time without any coverage. Subsequently, the use of antibiotics or other livestock drugs harm human health. The use of antimicrobial drugs for meat animals as growth promoters and as antimicrobial agent may protect animal health by reducing pathogen as well as promoting growth rate, but at the same time it may erode the effectiveness of some antibiotics for human use, meaning that it creates antibiotic resistance in human which may affect human therapy in the future, causing the antibiotics fail to treat infection, even increase the severity of illness. That is why some of the countries have banned the using of antibiotics as growth promoter in livestock. Growth promoters such as steroid hormones are also used to increase growth rate and overall efficiency of the meat animals. However, the chemical residues left in the meat have carcinogenic effect to human health, which commonly cause cancer. To reduce the usage of antibiotics, it is advised that livestock farmers to use alternatives, which is feed additive drug, to promote immune function and stress resistance. Besides, some research can be done to select for meat animals that possesses high genetic resistance, encouraging adoption of minimal disease programs, development of new feed additives, and development of vaccines to boost immune system in animals under the condition of not bringing harm to human health.
Next is public health risk, which is infectious zoonotic disease. Zoonotic diseases are transmittable from animal to human. It serves as major animal health issue affecting meat production and human consumption, as it has negative effect to both animal and human. For instance, BSE, or known as mad cow disease, avian influenza, Nipah virus, and many more. Thus, practicing good animal farming play a major role in the emergence and the spread of zoonotic pathogen, as numerous common infectious diseases reach humans through food animal. The recommendation for this risk is protection of meat worker from infections depend upon taking normal hygienic precaution, which also protect the meat from contamination from the worker. Consumers are exposed to a smaller range of zoonosis than meat worker because they encounter only meat that has passed inspection. Further advances in making meat safer are likely to result from the introduction of integrated quality assurance system. This involves identifying, monitoring, and keeping record of this disease status and treatment of each animal, so that its history is known when it's reached the abattoir. Lastly is environmental safety concern, which is mixture of animal manure and water waste issue. There is a large amount of water waste produced from the meat production industry every day. For example, water is primarily used in the scalding, washing, sanitizing, and other processes in poultry industry. Pollutant in effluents and animal manure will lead to environmental pollution and water contamination if not treated properly. This is because untreated effluents and manure that are full of microbial pathogens will flow into the river and eventually to the sea, causing distortion of the aquatic ecosystem. It is estimated that more than 18% of illness may be traced to meat animal via water contamination, exposure of human to animal, and contact with untreated manure. The recommendation for this issue is sustainable manure management practice and strategy are advocated. These include contribution to a clean environment, pollution reduction, job creation, and protection of biodiversity.
Next, the content and recommendation of safety issue regarding production of meat product. First, microbial contamination of meat product. During slaughtering and dressing, meat carcass can contamination. The primary source of meat product contamination come from animal feces, soil and water, animal transportation, environment, equipment, utensils, and human cross-contamination. The microbial contamination can cause spoilage and foodborne illness. To prevent of microbial contamination in meat product, cooking the meat before eat. Follow hygiene practice that can avoid food poisoning. Use clean utensils, cutting board to prevent cross-contamination between raw meat and ready-to-eat food. Keep the food in refrigerator to inactive bacteria grow. The example of microbial hazard prevention: pathogen bacillus species, proper holding and cooling temperature of food. Pathogen Campylobacter species, proper pasteurization of cooking. Clostridium species, thermal processing of shelf-stable canned food. Clostridium, proper holding and cooling temperature of food. Second, chemical contamination of meat product. Natural and synthetic environmental contamination such as animal drug and pesticide present in animal or processing environment. Excessive use of food additive in processed product. Mycotoxin come from feeding animal with moldy feed or uncontrolled mold grow in certain meat products aged improperly and long period time. Use of antibiotic, hormone, growth-promoting agent during meat animal production for better growth and feed efficiency and disease control. Chemical is allergen in sensitive consumer are often causes of product recall. The example of chemical hazard prevention. First, naturally occurring chemical substance. The preventive measure, supplier warranty or guarantee, verification program to test each supplier compliance with the warranty of guarantee. Second, intentionally added chemical, preventive measure, detailed specification for each raw material and ingredient, warranty or letter of guarantee from the supplier, visiting suppliers, requirement that supplier operate with a HACCP plant, testing program to verify that carcass do not have residue. Third, unintentionally added chemical, preventive measure, identify and list all direct and indirect food additive and color additive, check that each chemical is approved. Check that each chemical is properly used and record the use of any restricted ingredient. Third, physical hazard in meat product originate from the environment and the raw material and include bone chip and foreign bodies such as metal, glass, wood, plastic and stone. Physical material not normally found in a food that can cause illness or injury to a person consuming the meat product. Source physical hazard contaminate raw material, poorly designed or maintained facilities and equipment, faulty procedure during processing and improper employer training and practice. The example physical hazard prevention, foreign object in raw material, supplier HACCP plant, use of specification, letter of guarantee, vendor inspection and certification. Foreign object in packaging material cleaning compound, supplier HACCP plant, use specification, letter of guarantee, vendor inspection certification, in-house inspection of material, and foreign object introduced by processing operation or employer practice, inline metal detector, visual product examination, proper maintenance of equipment and frequent equipment inspection.
Next, we are going to talk about the food adulteration in meat product. Adulteration in meat products encompasses the fraudulent deliberate substitution or addition of animal proteins of cheaper prices. Of the commonest adulterant items that were added are chemical, which are not genuine component of food, poor quality product, and physical or inert agents. Food adulterants involve intentional or unintentional addition of useless, harmful, unnecessary chemical, physical and biological agents to food in order to decrease the quality of food. It also can cause cancer. Next, we are going to talk about the detection of food adulteration in meat. It is especially important for Muslim and Jewish consumers to know even if the smallest amount of contamination is present in the food that has been approved for consumption and that has been prepared in compliance with Muslim or Jewish belief, either halal or kosher food. One of the method is PCR checks. It is an essential method which can detect precisely when the meat is really beef, chicken, pig or lamb. Other than that, misuse of food additives. Additive is a substance added to food in order to maintain or improve its safety, freshness, taste, texture or appearance. Food additive can be food coloring, food enhancer or preservation. Food additive can come from plant, animal, mineral or synthetic. Food additive sometimes can have a bad reaction on human. For example, digestive disorder, nervous disorders, respiratory problems, and skin problems. So, how we can reduce the exposure of harmful food additive in meat? One of them is by buying a fresh meat. Fresh meat contains almost zero food additive. Other than that is eat less meat that are processed. Next one is consider reduce the consumption of packaged food in prepackaged meal such as hot dog, ham and meat. And the last one is ensure that the product we are buying or the meat we are buying is thoroughly tested by JECFA in order to decide the levels for optimum use of food and beverage additives. Next, we are going to talk about mislabeling. Mislabeling is one of the most common crime among food industry. Meat species specification is important for consumer protection and increased concern in food labeling regulation enforcement. Meat species authenticity is higher than field of food forensic, which ensure food quality and safety to the consumers and conserves the laws related to meat and meat products. One of the negative effects of mislabeling is number one, consumer will be deceived into believing that they are getting the product they desire. Secondly, fraudulent substitution of meats of high commercial value with inferior quality and cheaper meat.
In conclusion, food safety issues, especially in meat production, has become a common concern worldwide, making public health agencies and governments of several countries look for more efficient ways to monitor production chains. The prevalence of food hygiene training for all food handlers as part of a combined approach to food hygiene management could help reduce the incidence of foodborne disease. The effectiveness of food hygiene training could be greatly improved where training is based on a suitable constellation of approaches designed in line with effective health education theories and models. Such models could contribute to the development of approaches which consider not only the provision of information aimed at modifying attitudes and behaviors but also the social and environmental factors which impinge on food safety. And that's all from our group. Thank you for watching.